Hello, hello, hello. How are you? How are you? Welcome to Ask the Experts. My name is Lakeisha Hines, and I am joined by
Charmaine and
Walter Jennings.
yes, Jen is in the house. What? I want to say thank you all for joining us this evening. Hassani and Danielle are taking a much needed respite in his name. They are in Mexico.
yes.
They left us.
Hopefully they're just sipping on some nice cocktails.
Libations or
Yes.
Y'all mind
fresh
y'all business.
juices.
Mind y'all business. Mind y'all business.
Fresh juices from the islands. I don't know. But we are definitely missing them, but super excited that they are having an opportunity to get away and get recharged, refreshed, rejuvenated. I'm sure somebody's still working. We won't call any names.
All right now,
But
yes. Step away from
the computer. But we are very happy that, again, they had an opportunity to get away. We miss them, and you guys just send your well wishes to Hassani and Danielle, and we are definitely praying that they return safely. Yes. So I want to give some shout outs. I see we got Miss Nina Wright returning again tonight. Thank you for your faithfulness. Derek, Sean, Dee Dee Jones. Oh, these all our regulars. Hey, Callie Power Couple, Miss Jules, Ralph. Thank you guys for joining us. Thank you for tuning in. You know how we do. Go ahead and post your questions, and we will be happy to respond to them. You guys always do this, right? You wait until it's 5 minutes before the show is about to end, and then you're like, oh, let me hurry up and get this question in. Let's go ahead and get these questions in early, you guys, so that we can give them the attention that they so deserve. And so anyway, how you guys doing tonight, Jennings?
Well, we're doing well, but I'm just saying, like, you are the one that's glowing. Yes, ma'am.
I'm glowing. Thank you. It's for the people. It's for the people.
Hey, and we do what we need to do for the people.
Yes, for the people. It is for the people. How you doing, Mr. Jennings? I mean, it's all this estrogen energy in here tonight.
Hey, I'm just enjoying it, playing my position is what I'm doing.
Bask in it. Exactly. We want you to bask in it. Hey, so you guys, there are a couple things that are going on with Couples Academy. There are always things going on with Couples Academy, but a couple things I wanted to point out within the show tonight. The Foundry's going on. The men are doing their thing. Okay.
That's right.
This is a men's coaching, 12-week men's coaching program. And the men are doing their thing. So I remember when Hassani first announced it, I was saying, I'm jealous. I want to come to the Foundry. And he was like, don't be jealous, Lakeisha, because we have unearthed for the ladies, and the ladies are doing their thing as well. 12-week coaching program for the ladies as well. No one is exempt. So you guys get more information about that. If you're watching on YouTube or you're watching via Facebook or however you are watching, there's information. There's a link that you can click on to get more information about that. But all right, I see we do have some comments in here. Oh, Miss Nina, she said, good evening, Couples Academy from Detroit. Last night was so needed. Sometimes you need that push to help you keep going, to keep fighting. Absolutely. We know about the push. We know about the fight. We know about the struggle. So I'm glad that you got what you needed last night, sis. She said, I'm reading a book by John Gottman, The Second Principles of Making Marriage Work. It is a wonderful book, and I want to know, what is your take on love maps? Ooh. All right, Jennings, what y'all got?
Yeah, I had to look up love maps, and I know someone else also mentioned that it's akin to Hassani's recommendation on keeping a book on your spouse,
Mhm.
which what I would say is absolutely, of course, it's very effective, and I think that it's something that all couples should do. However, like most things in marriage, it's really only as effective as both partners' willingness to be able to do it, and to also utilize what has been noted, and also being honest
Mhm.
about the challenges, the strengths, the shifts and the interests as they change. And obviously, sometimes it may start with just one person doing it, but when both people are doing a love map or have a book on their spouse, I mean, you're talking about setting the stage for a relationship that can really open the lines of communication and make sure that you're able to effectively communicate with your spouse as things are shifting and changing,
Mhm.
and to eliminate those bouts of frustration.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, I think any tool that you can access that will bring you and your spouse closer together, I think if it works for you, work it. At the end of
Mhm.
the day, like we all can give you different tools and resources and evaluations and assessments, but it's what works for you and your spouse. We know that most times, we are able to have some general things that we can share with everyone that everyone would benefit, and I think love maps are something that everyone can benefit. But like all things, you take what works for you, what doesn't work for you, then toss it.
That's right.
All righty, let's see who we. Hello, gorgeous Wells. I see you, JG. What's up? JG's a regular, y'all. Okay,
Yes.
Danielle
Hey,
Starmer.
JG.
Hey. All right. So Clancy said, I'm doing Foundry to work on myself. I cheated on my partner 12 months ago and she broke it off. I've been trying to repair the situation, but she is now seeing someone else. Man, that's tough, Clancy. That is definitely tough. I love the fact that you're doing the work on yourself.
Mhm.
I would definitely say continue to do that. 12 months ago, that's been a year. It seems like a while, but honestly, in infidelity years, it's still kind of early, and especially if there has not been work done on both parts. You said you're doing Foundry. I know Foundry just started, so I don't know what work you were doing prior to Foundry, and I don't know what work your spouse has done or if she's even willing to do any work. So a lot of times we get caught up in the numbers, like how
Mhm.
long it's been, but it's really about what you're doing within the numbers, within that time. What have you been working on and what have you been doing? Um, she's seeing somebody else. I'm so sorry. I know that's hurtful. I
Mhm.
know that's difficult to see. I don't know if there are children involved because that's another layer, but definitely continue to work on yourself. And
Mhm.
I just firmly believe what's meant to be will be.
Absolutely. I was going to chime in too and just encourage Clancy in that individual work, because the goal is to be a better you.
Mhm.
And to be perfectly honest, we don't know if your wife is going to come back to you or not. But a lot of times, and especially men, we will do work in order to solve a problem rather than do the work in order to improve ourselves, and to get better. And that really has to be the focus, because again, when you don't necessarily get the desired outcome, it's very easy to feel like, well, I did all this work for nothing. No, it's
Right.
never, anything you do is never not for nothing.
Right.
It just doesn't oftentimes lead to the result that you may have anticipated. But, it's important to take that inventory so that at the end of anything that you do, am I better from the work that I put in?
Mhm.
Agreed. Agreed. Um, JG had a question. He wants to know what are some ways to stay strong in recovery while dealing with a child's unexpected illness? Man,
Mhm.
listen, I definitely can identify with having a sick child. Um, and I can tell you that it puts a strain on each individual, husband and wife. It definitely puts a strain on the relationship because the child's needs become priority and they take over. So sometimes you have to, I hate this word, but you have to compartmentalize.
Mhm.
And my husband is so good at this, and it absolutely drives me crazy because my brain is going in like 50 million directions, and I'm multitasking and I'm doing all these different things. And he's like, nope, I'm doing this one thing right
Mhm.
now. When I'm done with this thing, then I'll move to the next thing, even in conversation. Nope. You said we're talking about finances. Why are we talking about now the children and their extracurricular activities? Stay focused. This is what we're talking about. So when it comes to situations like this, I understand that you guys are going through recovery, but the needs of your child sound like they're greater. So it sounds like you really need to put a lot of energy into making sure that that child is healthy and they're as well as they can possibly be. I know for me, when there was a situation where we did have a lot going on with, because I have a son with special needs, it actually brought us closer together
Mm-hmm.
because there were people outside of our home and outside of our marriage and our family. As much as they loved us and cared about us and loved our kid, they didn't get it. They didn't
Mhm.
understand. They didn't know what we were dealing with. They didn't know what we were going through, but we
Mhm.
knew because we're living it every single day. So it actually brought us closer. And I hope that happens to you. That's my prayer for your family. What do you guys think?
Absolutely, Lakeisha. I was going to say that during this time, especially when a child is ill, I mean that's where your focus is. You guys are, really having to consider a lot of different things, schedules, immediate needs of the child's, medical responsibilities and conversations. So really, right now, communication is big, and so you definitely want to. A lot of the communication and coming together has to be. How can we affirm each other? How can we really support each other and come together to really make sure that we are expressing positivity right now? Like we need all of the positivity, the affirmations, like the words coming out of our mouth need to be positive because we have to do and say for our child what our child may not even be able to say for themselves during this crisis and this illness. So every word, every moment, every opportunity, I have to be the voice for my child because they're not feeling well. So when you two come together, definitely really encouraging you all to take advantage of that opportunity to really, if you rely on prayer, then pray together. If you rely on affirmations, then have the list of them ready to go. So you're able to speak to every atmosphere when you're in the doctor's office, wherever you are in your home, that you can see that positivity surrounding you.
Mhm. Awesome. I 100% agree. It's so important that you are feeding your spirit. And that's what I hear you saying, Charmaine, is that it's really important that you guys are supporting each other, but that you're
Yes.
individually s- feeding your spirit, because I'm telling you, I know how exhausting that can be. And if you don't have something that is bigger than you, that is holding you up, I promise you, it's going to be difficult to make it through it. But when you lean and trust and depend on something that is greater than you, for me, it's God. I know that's how I was able to make it through dealing with the challenges that I've had to deal with my son with special needs. But thank you for your question. That just touched me in my heart because I'm a special needs mommy. So that
And
just
we
did
are,
something for me.
yes, and we are as well. So we understand the power of our words and yeah, taking every opportunity to speak life.
Absolutely. Hey Gonzalez, that's family. That's family. How you doing? All right. Um, oh man. Clancy came back and said his wife came back to him for 2 months, but didn't want to get back together. And then he goes on to say, I'm super confused. Man, Clancy, listen, I don't know your situation, right? I don't know the details. I don't know the ins and outs. But what I do know is it is confusing. She's probably confused. She's probably conflicted, having a
Mhm.
lot of emotions. And when you don't get the proper support and you don't get the appropriate help, it's very difficult to navigate these waters. This is not something that you guys have done before. I've said this multiple times. Like, you're not infidelity recovery specialists. you're not. And you're trying to figure it out as you go along, like we do when we get jobs that we're not necessarily qualified for and we get OJT. Like, this is not the same thing. You need help, you need support, she needs support. And so I get that you're confused. And again, she's probably confused, which is probably why you're confused.
Mm-hmm.
So keep doing the work on you.
Yeah, and I wanted to jump in too, and just to encourage Clancy too, to be very careful that you don't allow what you want, because obviously it sounds like you want to reunite with your wife. But again, you are doing the work on yourself and you're growing. So there's a measure of responsibility to your growth and also accountability as well to her, as far as with, like the song say, you can't keep running in and out of my life. So it's, making sure that she understands that, look, if we're going to do the work, then we're going to do the work. And, just making sure that you're having those conversations, setting boundaries, and not compromising getting back with her, just, and then now you have a situation where you've allowed some things to happen just because you really want to get back with her, which is common in situations like that. So just be very careful in that situation of not allowing her to go back and forth and feeling guilty without there being a commitment and some boundaries being set.
Agreed. All right. Oh, Gonzalez, he said, yes, we are. Foundry is on fire. I heard there's some wonderful things going on there, and the men are definitely on fire. All right. Mr. Ralph said, since I was never shown how to do things around the house while growing up, I was just shown how to do the building and fixing the house. How do I go about finding help to learn the other house duties? First of all, I'm happy you want to learn, my brother. I'm so happy you want to learn. Woo!
Everybody celebrating.
And the husband somewhere like, oh, this cat.
You better learn. Get your learn on.
Learn it, Ralph. Learn it.
The fact that you said that, I know there's a lot of people out there that like, that's so sexy. That's so sexy.
Yes.
Valentine's Day right around the corner, and here come this.
Yes.
Your likes on Facebook just went up, Ralph.
I'm about to get some love coupons. But I think the biggest thing, when it comes to gender roles, especially around the home, one, the two of you get to set them. You get to establish them. So through conversations, a lot of times if you're strong and those are your strengths, then by all means, utilize your strengths. And but if you do have the desire to really be more supportive in other ways, just spend time watching, observing, listening, and really seeing from your partner what other areas they would love to extend to you. I have certain family members, like, they love doing the laundry. And I just don't get it, because I am anti-laundry. I don't like doing laundry, but for them it's therapeutic and it's self-care and it's something about smelling, I don't know, but it does it for them. Okay. So do you, and definitely the areas that you want to learn, I think your partner will absolutely embrace releasing some of those things to you. But, we also have to be very patient with our partners when they're learning and trying something new. But that is definitely a way to get you some love coupons.
Hey, I'm gonna say GTS. This is something my husband and I we joke a lot of times. GTS. Google that.
Ooh, okay.
Google it.
That's true.
YouTube
is everything.
You can YouTube anything, like, to fix whatever. So YouTube will definitely get you the information you need.
I want to know, Brother Jennings, how you feeling about Brother Ralph wanting to learn how to do something. How'd you learn?
First of all, I think it's great for him.
Well, I'm assuming that
it's great for him.
You said that real strong.
Yeah, because it's certain things that but you don't want people to know One thing about husbands and men, we know how to, when we want to play dumb, we will play dumb and ignorant. But obviously, like, the more the more self-sufficient you can be, and that just helps you when, especially like when things go wrong at night, or little things on the weekend. It's those type of things, or even when money is tight, when when you're able to just take care of some stuff on your own, it is very helpful. So it's
Yeah.
good to feed that, because it sounds like too Ralph, you have a thirst for it. And so while you're excited about it, while you got this kind of vigor, go ahead and learn everything that you can. So that way you got that skill set. It's like adding tools to your toolbox. Even though you may learn it and put it in the toolbox and don't know when you're going to need it again, at least you got it in your toolbox, so it's there if you need it.
Boy, it's something about coming home to a clean house. The smell of pine salt and bleach.
Won't he do it?
Hey, George. Ooh, he's in Antigua. I want to be where you are, George.
Absolutely.
Hey, Deborah said, thank you so much. You all have helped so much. Playing the lotto so we can come to Last Chance Weekend. All right. I receive it.
We're going to speak it into existence.
That's right. Do what you got to do. We want to see you next month, Miss Deborah.
All right.
All right. So Sean asked, what about a woman's worth? Sometimes you question, how could you stay, and ask yourself, do I really love myself for staying? Well, Miss Sean, I'm assuming Sean is a female. So I will say, Miss Sean, it's really not about your self-worth or whether or not you love yourself. It's about, especially I'm assuming that you guys are married. So from a marital context, I would say there is a covenant that is made between you and your spouse and God. And if God didn't tell you to go anywhere, then you look at it as you being obedient to the will of God. Additionally, if you are seeing, and again, I don't know your situation, but if you are seeing that effort is being made, you're seeing that your spouse is remorseful, you're seeing that they are working on themselves and they're doing everything within their power to try to, improve themselves and, just show you that they are willing to do the work and go through the process of healing, then I think is worth the consideration of staying. I know that it's hard. And the crazy thing is, right, a lot of times when we are dealing with infidelity, whoever the betrayed is, oftentimes they think it's easier to leave. Right? They think it's easier to leave. And that's true because it's harder to stay. It is so much more difficult to stay and do the work because it forces you to have to work on you. It forces you to deal with you, because guess what? You're not only dealing with whatever was going on with the betrayer in the situation, you have to take a look at yourself. And it's easy to stay in that victim role and not take that mirror out and look at yourself. So a lot of times people will leave because they don't want to deal with everything that comes with staying. And it's a lot of work and it's not easy. So again, I don't think it's about self-worth or you loving yourself. I think it's that you love your spouse and you're committed to your marriage and you want to get that ROI, that return on your investment. So that's my take. I don't know. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I think when we talk about our worth, you have to be true to who you are too. And a lot of times when we are working to rebuild a new relationship, when you're the betrayed or even the betrayer, we're not doing the work to get back to where we were. We're doing the work to rebuild a new relationship. And that requires us to shed off a lot of the pain, a lot of the things that either we stopped doing or things that were added that weren't healthy for us. So it can be a big challenge, but you can be happy and really in knowing, as far as in your work, that you are working to love your partner, your spouse, the way you want to be loved, regardless of what they're doing. And so you leave them without excuse. And so you are modeling. Your goal is to model for them how to love you because I am worth it. And so sometimes it feels like it may be falling on deaf ears, but I promise you, when you continue to just work that work, I'm going to love you and I'm going to model for you and show you how I need to be loved. And I'm going to love you through it all. And at some point, your partner will, they're either going to choose to join in and do that work with you, or they're going to have a real conversation with you and to make some tough decisions. But at least I know that I was in it 100%. I wasn't halfway in it. I wasn't waiting to see the response that I'm getting. I can't wait on your response. I am going to model for you because I know my worth, and I'm going to love you how I expect to be loved. I'm not going to withhold love. I'm not going to withhold
Woo!
good thing from you. And that's hard. But I promise you, the power and the strength that builds up inside of you from that, yeah. If your partner doesn't reciprocate, believe me, they will, yeah,
They'll take note.
they
They'll
will.
they will notice. And I
They,
will say, regardless of if it is the husband that's the betrayer or the wife that's the
mhm,
betrayer, it doesn't matter.
right.
It is difficult to love someone who hurts you. That's
Yes.
the reality of the situation, right? But that's what we're called to do. If you're a
Mhm,
believer, that's what you're called to do. You are called to love in spite of,
mhm,
right? And the one thing that I have learned, when there have been people that have wronged me in my past, be it romantic relationships or platonic relationships, and I was all in my brokenness and all of this, and I wanted to castrate them, and all of these things. Like, it was so clear to me. God was like, okay, so you don't want to forgive them, but don't I forgive you?
Forgiveness. There it is. Ouch.
Ow. Yeah. So you can't ask for something that you're not willing to give.
Mm-hmm.
Sean went on to say, my husband stopped the physical with his affair partner 2 years before I found out, but continued to contact her and there. Oh, continue to contact here and there, which is how I found out the physical affair was short lived. Listen,
Mm-hmm.
the physical is one thing, emotional is another. We've talked about that there are multiple types of affairs. And one of the challenges that a lot of couples do have is that they don't end the affair properly.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's one of the things that we walk you guys through is, once D-Day happens, D-Day, Discovery Day, once D-Day happens, then we're going through full disclosure. There's a process. We go through full disclosure. Once we go through full disclosure, then we start talking about affair proofing your marriage. Like, so there are steps to this. And ending the affair is critically important because if you leave the door open, most likely that affair partner is going to walk through the door. So you can't leave the door open. You have to close all doors, all avenues. There can be no contact whatsoever because you're tempted to fall back into that. You're tempted to slip back in, even though you have physically stopped being intimate with that person. So I understand how you found out. I'm sure that was devastating. Um, and again, it doesn't matter if the affair was short lived or if it was long or whatever, the devastation is still the same.
Mm-hmm.
And so at this point, I think you guys probably really need to get a third party in so that you can make sure that you are affair proofing your marriage and that you do end the affair properly.
Keisha, ¿está lista?
See?
Ok, para los hispanos hablantes o las parejas bilingües, por favor, tenemos un anuncio especial.
Couples Academy is committed to serving couples around the world by reaching beyond cultural lines and language barriers. We are proud to announce that we now serve the Spanish-speaking community. So whether you're here in the United States or abroad, Couples Academy has a place for you.
Couples Academy se compromete a servir parejas de todo el mundo, superando las fronteras culturales y las barreras del idioma. Ahora, estamos orgullosos de anunciar que servimos a la comunidad de habla hispana. Entonces, ya sea que estés aquí en los Estados Unidos o en el extranjero, Couples Academy está aquí para servirle.
All right, you guys. So we are here and ready to serve our Latino brothers and sisters, our Hispanic brothers and sisters, our Spanish brothers and sisters, however you identify. We are
That's
ready for
right.
you. And
Mhm.
so you just got to reach out and let us know how we can support you. Okay, so we had a comment from Miss Cindy. What boundaries can I, as the betrayed, set up have for my I didn't read that right. What boundaries can I, as the betrayed, set up or have for my unfaithful that for the last 11 months won't own an affair that GPS shows he had for 2.5 years and also failed 2 lie detector tests? Help.
Okay. Well, we
So,
know. Go ahead.
no,
Well, first of all, it's powerful that there seems to be some challenges there because if the alleged betrayer didn't pass 2 lie detector tests, then clearly they were willing to sit down and take 2 of them, and GPS and things aren't aligning. And so I guess I would have more of a question, Cindy, as to what is the conversation about. What are some of the responses been from your partner regarding these things? Because that's evidence based, failing 2 lie detector tests, and really just the GPS. So, what is the partner saying about their whereabouts? And one, can we start there? Is the partner willing to say, okay, we need to set some boundaries and some accountability for where you are, and really, just really how to start and reestablish trust, because clearly it's been broken, and it's hard to rebuild from something that one of the individuals is clearly in denial about, or just not even willing to acknowledge. We can't fix what we won't
yeah,
acknowledge,
Hmm.
yeah.
and so there has to be a start somewhere about, okay, well, let's this happened 2 years ago. Clearly, you're not ready to talk about it. Okay, going forward, what can we both establish to hold each other accountable about our whereabouts and about our interactions with other people, and really clearly defining what those boundaries are and expectations.
Hmm.
Well, guess what? I agree, and I'm going to add on to that. Full disclosure is so important. You
Mm-hmm.
can't set up boundaries for you. You don't even know what boundaries were violated. You don't even know what you're guarding against because you don't have a full picture of what all happened. So, not being honest with you, failing 2 lie detector tests,
Yes.
your spouse is not being honest with you. So you can set up the boundaries, but until they are in a place where they're ready to, one, give you everything, lay out everything, then until they're willing to do that, you guys can't move forward in a healthy way. Couples do this all the time. They um kind of skirt around, tiptoe around the infidelity, give little bits and pieces and this and that, but you can't fully recover because there's still something in the back of your mind. And as women too, we got that intuition, and it's like, there's more.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying men don't have it too, because you can tell, especially if it's someone you've been with a long time, this your spouse, you can tell when they're lying to you. But the
Absolutely.
reality is, you'll always be in the back of your mind saying, there's more. There's more. You haven't told me everything. And if they're continuing to lie, I wonder if they're really ready to be faithful. So many questions. So many questions. I want to say that yes, you can set up boundaries. You definitely can say, if social media is the issue, well, you need to get off social media. Change your phone number. If it's a fair partner at your job, maybe you need to switch jobs, or maybe you need to move different departments, depending on how intense it was, depending on how long it went on, and how much was involved. Really would kind of determine what type of boundaries you guys need to set. But whatever it is, it needs to work for both of you, and it needs to be something that you're both going to agree to and commit to. So I can't move past the fact that you don't have the whole truth. And
Mm.
so it's very hard to set up boundaries when you don't have the whole truth. But yes, you can do all of those things. You can decide what it is. Maybe you can identify what your triggers are. And if your trigger is the route that he's going home. Well, look, I need you to drive a different way to get home. Or maybe you need to be on the phone with me on your way home from work until we're able to reestablish those boundaries. So again, I don't know what all you're dealing with. And as I said, it's not a situation where you cannot set boundaries, but it's very difficult to do that again without that step of full disclosure. You can't hop over that. You can't skip over that. That's a very necessary step.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, I wanted to add something too about that, because 2 lie detector tests, those questions had to be very specific. And so, Cindy, you did receive some answers from those lie detector tests. I mean, they're very specific. So in that, I just want to encourage you. Sometimes even the boundaries, sometimes we want to do a lot of work with our partner, but sometimes we have to ask ourselves individually, what are my boundaries? What, where is my beginning and where is my okay pause? Until the following things occur, right now I'm at a pause.
Right.
And so we all kind of have that point where we put our foot down and say, you know what, like Keisha, you mentioned, until I have that full disclosure, I am not able to move forward, because you don't want to betray yourself and start to become the detective. Like, you're spending hours of your time sneaking around, looking at phones, looking at this, that, whatever. I mean, and you have to ask yourself, do you want to become that person? And if you are in a relationship right now and you're finding yourself becoming this detective, and you're becoming obsessed about something, at some point, there is that moment where you pause and really talk to your spouse and say, look, do you really want this marriage? This is what I expect. And I need full disclosure if we're going to move forward.
Right.
And if that person and sometimes it's generational. I think Cindy mentioned in the feed that they've been married for 33 years. Mm-hmm. And so some things, marriage has evolved throughout the generations. And sometimes, depending on your age and the age of your spouse, we learn a lot from our parents and our foundational family about what marriage should look, feel, and sound like. Sometimes it's cultural, sometimes it's generational. And if your partner somehow may have an unconscious belief that it's just what we do, I can't help it, or it's just what I do, I can't help it. And the work can be really trying. So sometimes, instead of really, it does come a point where you have to kind of start really asking yourself what I need to do in this moment to kind of just pause, so I'm not becoming a person that I don't want to become, and being that detective and that I spy on my partner. Where do I stop and have a conversation and decide that, look, I have to pause right now because I'm not getting what I need from you, and it doesn't seem like you're all in like you claim. If you want the marriage, then you need to do the work to keep the marriage.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. And also, I'll just, add on to that as well. It's extremely important that you explain to your spouse what it is that you want and you need from them. You did say, Charmaine, that you are to show them how they are to treat you. And clearly you are not satisfied with what it is that you're getting, because again, there is a lack of honesty, and you will never be able to reestablish trust if there's still dishonesty, if they're still lying and they're not being honest with you. So again, do they really want the marriage? Are they willing to do the work? And if they're not, again, you can't move forward unless both of you are moving forward. You're on the same page. You're in alignment.
Yeah. And that might mean, hey, every 10 minutes you're calling in, you're checking in with me. When you're gone, you're going to send me a text message that you made it to your destination. And that, we do use a kind of a tracking system where you check in with me. Like, I don't want to be the detective. You have to check in with me. You say you want it, do the work. Until some of that, until some of the PTSD kind of subsides, which is what post infidelity, that's that
stress disorder, post infidelity stress disorder.
So,
but you know what? A lot of times, people will go through that anyway. They're going to go through that that detective phase anyway, because they are trying to. Part of it is, right, you feel like when you find out that your spouse is cheating, you feel like a fool. You feel stupid, right? You feel like, how did I miss this? How did I not catch it? Like, how? And you immediately go to attacking yourself. Like, man, how did I miss this? And start beating yourself up. And so the detective part, a lot of times, is you're never going to make me look stupid again. Like, I got to catch you.
That's right.
You know what I mean? So I'm not going to be blindsided by this. I'm not going to be caught off guard. I'm going to get ahead of this thing. And so that's one of the reasons why people do become detectives. And also they're looking for that confirmation and validation that you can be trusted. But if this person has failed 2 lie detector tests, that tells me right now you can't be trusted because you're still lying.
Yeah.
You're still lying. So, oh my goodness, good luck. Good luck. And that's not sarcasm. I mean, I really hope that your spouse will reach out to us to get support. We have a strong male team that can support him. We have a strong female team that can support you as well. And I really hope that you guys are able to recover from this. And I hope that he's able to do the work that he needs to do so he can heal, because the lying is coming from somewhere. People don't just wake up one day and start lying. It's something deeper going on there. And so I hope that you guys will reach out so that we can help you identify what that is. Sean went on, and I apologize, Sean. We missed the rest of your comments. Sean said it was honestly a childish affair, no whining and dining, never went anywhere, no gifts, just her stroking his ego. Once I read the messages, it was so high school. We're clients of Hassani, and my husband is being amazing through this, but I like to know how this all works. I have a need to understand affairs in general. So I'm not sure. I mean, I get the affairs part, but what works? Are you talking about recovery or just how affairs work? I'm not sure. So I'll focus on the affair part. And I'm sure, Hassani will give you more insight, especially since you guys are working with him.
Absolutely.
But there are multiple types of affairs. Most people think it's just the sexual affair, right? But there's one night stands, there's emotional affairs where there's no sex involved at all. They're financial affairs. Back in the day, those old school wives, they would tell you, honey, you need to keep you some pocket change. You need to keep you a separate account from your husband just in case he gets to acting crazy and you got to slide real quick. You need to keep a separate account. That was wisdom for that generation. Right. But what I understand now is that really that's a financial affair because you hide money. An affair is nothing but a betrayal. It's deceit, right? Most people, if they really sit and think about it and get to the root of the affair, they can get past the sex. It's hard. It's difficult. They can get past it. It's the secret that messes with them, that keeps them up at night, that turns their stomach, that makes them look at their spouse different. It's the secret. It's the betrayal. It's the manipulation. It's the hiding. It's the lying and the sneaking. It's all of that. That's what gets them hung up. So I don't want you to minimize the fact that there were no gifts and there was no whining and there was no dining. There still was a betrayal. And you saying that the affair partner stroked his ego, that means that he was looking for something. And I'm not blaming you. I'm not saying you didn't show up as a wife and you didn't give him what he needed. I don't know. But what I do know is he was looking for something. And this is what happens with marriages, right? Instead of us turning into each other, we do this. And we start looking outward, outside of our relationships for fulfillment, when everything that you need is in the person that you lay down with every night. You just got to tap in.
Yeah, there's a myriad of different reasons why people cheat. But what I will say is that every affair and every cheating episode all stems from one thing: selfishness. It comes from a person's willingness to completely engulf themselves in what they feel like they need and seek it in a way that violates their relationship. So you've got to you have to deal with that. And that's one of the reasons, even Keisha, as you just pointed out, why it's so important that the betrayed doesn't allow themselves to be blamed in that process.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because again, the person made a selfish decision.
Mm-hmm.
And oftentimes you'll never really be able to fully understand it, because within the mind of that person, sometimes they don't know. You know, and sometimes it's some things that they may have experienced and seen in their childhood as part of their norm. Sometimes it may have been something that they've always wanted to do and got married, and it ended up being something completely different than what they expected. But all affairs, all cheating, it stems from selfishness.
Yeah, I mean, I've said this multiple times with couples that I've worked with. I've said it on the show. It is never the betrayed's fault.
Absolutely.
It is never your fault. It is a conscious decision that the betrayer made to violate the vows that they made. And it is never your fault.
Mm-hmm.
In addition to that, though, I have always said as well that I asked the betrayer to be open to the possibility that there was something that you may have done or did not do that led your spouse to be open, vulnerable to even consider the possibility of entertaining someone else. So it's still, nobody is without blame, but I want to be clear that it is never your fault for this person cheating. They chose to cheat. It is a conscious decision. You could have cheated too.
Absolutely.
Right? So if you made a conscious decision not to cheat, they made a conscious decision to cheat. So it's never your fault. But again, we all got to stop, take a moment and look at ourselves, right? Because none of us are without blame. None of us are perfect. We all make mistakes. So we have to be willing to acknowledge, you know, our own individual roles, because in a marriage, we're a team, we're one. And so we have to be willing to look at what we each did to contribute to whatever the status of the relationship is.
Yeah. And the longer you've been married, I will say it can be very difficult to have an honest conversation with your partner and tell them, you know what? In this life cycle that I'm in, I need more sex, or I need different sex, or I need more spontaneity, or those underwear or boxer shorts you wearing, they not doing it for me no more. You know, it's hard because it's almost easy to be blunt and like just tell people things that you don't love. But the fact that you love and care about your partner, sometimes it can be really hard to, you know, have some of those courageous conversations with them. And so, you know, we want to, when we talk about communication, a lot of things, that's number one, right? When we're rebuilding trust, communication is number one. And we have to start telling the truth as we're evolving in the relationship to advocate for our needs.
Yes.
We do. And that looking inward instead of outward.
Right.
And both sides. Both sides. I think
Absolutely.
women, we have a tendency to be more vocal and expressive about what it is that we want and we need, but men have a tendency to not. You know, they just kind of go with the flow, and it's like, oh, you know, I don't need much. I'll be all right. No, you are not all right. You dying on the inside. I need you to speak up and say, listen, I need more of this. I need more of that. I need less of this, less of that, whatever. But we have to be honest with each other, both of us, men and women. Like, what's the whole purpose of being married to someone if you are miserable? I refuse to be married and miserable. I'm just not going to do it. I'm sorry. So that means I have to humble myself. That means that I also have to be willing to make sacrifices. I have to be willing to be uncomfortable.
Right. But also knowing it's not like this is just strictly customer service. Like I can dial up and be like, hey, Walter, like I need this. I have to put in some work. If I want spontaneity, I need to model for him if I want to role play, if I want to, you know, it's to dress up, I need to model for him what I need in this season. So, because he's learning. It goes back to earlier on what Sean said about wanting to learn different things in that round house. It's the same thing when it comes to intimacy and romance. Like, we have to be willing to learn together and to explore together, but mostly to do the work together. I can't just be
Absolutely.
sitting around like, you know what? I give him an F in customer service, and he's over there saying, "Well, she get an F in marital customer service over here. I'm not satisfied." But he's not doing the work, and I'm not doing the work
Mhm.
to model
Absolutely.
what we need.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And Miss Shalise, she wants to know, how would you advise my husband to deal with his guilt, regret, and shame? He has put it away so that he can function, but does it have to be processed first? Is putting it away healthy and enough?
Yeah,
No.
and not no, not at all. Suppressing that frustration, well, that guilt and that shame, it is unfortunately going to manifest in other ways that are usually that are unhealthy, that are usually destructive, and just can be detrimental to not only the relationship, but to the person themselves. They, in bad habits, so any
Yes.
way that you can. I can speak as a man, asking questions and providing him a voice and an opportunity to talk about some of those things, if and when he's ever open to it, is a really great step in helping him to feel comfortable with having that conversation about the guilt and the regret and the shame. And then as he gets more comfortable sharing that with you, encouraging him that there may be some benefit in seeking some professional counseling and therapy for that. But absolutely, but it can absolutely start with you. And Keisha, you made a great point about the betrayed in a relationship. You talked about them setting the atmosphere for the
Mhm.
affair. Even though
Mhm.
the person made the choice, you can
Right.
set the atmosphere
Mm.
for negative things, but you can also set the atmosphere for positive things.
Yes.
Just again, with just making
Woo.
yourself available, asking questions, and those things can lead to, maybe, getting a therapist would be a bad idea. And
Mhm.
even with Charmaine talking about with having that conversation, and that open dialogue, men have to feel comfortable, like being honest. And
That's true.
and for us to relax from those gender norms, and this whole notion of who we have to be,
Mhm.
having all the answers, being strong, and
Mhm.
having it all figured out, and like, when we find a space where it's like, you know what, I can be honest that I don't know, or that I'm a little afraid, I'm concerned about these things,
Mhm.
that that really encourages us to begin to open up. And obviously our spouse should be the first person to set that atmosphere for that space.
I was a person in our relationship that struggled with words in the beginning. Um, I really, I didn't know how to advocate for my needs. And so it was funny because during the dating process with us, and we often use this in our sessions as well, it's non traditional, but music. Especially for men, sometimes if they don't have the words, just giving, we do in everybody's practices and sessions, we all do some different things, but
Mhm.
music can be a great way to
Yes.
communicate with each other without having that
Mhm.
uncomfortable, awkward conversation. Like I like, might put a song on, send it to him. He listened to it. He listening to the lyrics. Be like, okay, I see the messages she's sending me. Okay, he sent me, and I know that's old school. Back to cassette tapes. Getting our age right now.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but those things still work.
That's right.
Especially when times get hard. I mean,
Right.
sometimes when it's hard to put those words together, I mean, we will go out on holidays and buy cards and give somebody a card, and
Mm-hmm.
that card will kind of encompass our emotional state at that point, and the message we want to send. And so, music can even be a powerful exchange when we're going through a rough time, you know, in these seasons. So, putting away
Absolutely.
and not repressing, I mean, it could be him making a soundtrack of, man, these are the songs that really represent my pain and
Mhm.
the shame and the guilt that I'm going through right now. But this is where I am right now, but this is where I want to be. And
Mm-hmm.
making another playlist of where
Right.
I'm trying to get to, and the person I want to become.
Well, I will say this too. I had a client, the the male was the one who was the betrayer, and he was feeling guilt and shame and everything, and he felt like he had to be strong for
Mhm.
his wife because he hurt her, and he felt like he couldn't express his emotions and his pain for how he was feeling, because I did this to you. You know, you're feeling this way. I hurt you. I did this to you. So I got to push all my stuff to the side so that I can be here for you. Trust me, she needs
Huh.
to see you vulnerable.
Yes, she
She
does.
needs to see you sad. She needs to see you cry. She needs to know that you're remorseful and that you feel a healthy dose of guilt and shame. Lets her know that you are acknowledging and you recognize the fact that you messed up and you want to be better and you're
Mhm.
trying to do better. So you don't have to be strong or hard or whatever for your spouse. You need to let her know how you feel and let her know that, hey, I'm going through too. Now, don't take away from her and she's having a moment. That's
Yes.
not the time to be like, well, I'm hurting too, babe. No, no, no. You be there for
Mhm.
her in that moment. But when she is in a stable place, and I don't mean like when she's over the affair, I mean like another space and opportunity. It may even be after you've consoled her and comforted her and make sure she's stable in that place emotionally, that you can share with her too. You know, hey, I'm hurting too because of what I did to you. But to repress it, suppress it, hide it, push it away, push it down, it's not going anywhere. And
Mhm.
like Walter said, it's just going to come out in another way. Guys, we are having such a great conversation. We're having such a good
Ooh.
time. Listen, I'm supposed to be sharing stuff with you and letting you know what's going on at Couples Academy. So let's do
Okay.
that right quick. All right, guys. Last chance weekend coming up in February. A lot of the questions that you guys are asking, a lot of situations that you guys are dealing with, they will be covered at
Mhm.
Last Chance weekend. A lot of the steps that we talk about all the time at Couples Academy, they take place during Last Chance weekend. Um, you know, a lot of times too, it's being in that group environment where you truly feel like you're not alone. You're not the only
Mhm.
one
Yes.
that is dealing with what you're dealing with and having the challenges that you're facing. A lot of times it's easy to feel like you're out there on an island all by yourself. And I promise you, you're not. There are couples that come from all walks of life, all different backgrounds, um, different cultures, different religious beliefs, no religious beliefs. Like it's a very diverse group of couples every single time. Oh my gosh, our last group, I'm so biased. They were bomb. Like all of our groups are bomb, but like that last group, and they're on fire. They took part in the Moving Forward program and they are just full steam ahead. They're doing amazing. So I highly recommend you guys sign up for Last Chance weekend. We talked about it's around Valentine's Day. Some of you have trips planned. You're trying to go out of town. You're trying to go to somebody's island
Mhm.
and you're trying to, you know, rekindle that flame. And that leads us into our next question because I want to address it.
Okay.
FE says, I am the male betrayer 6 years ago in my 20-year marriage. Since 20 years, that's around y'all time, isn't it?
It
Since the
is.
Yep.
work since the work affair that occurred 2016 through 2017, I left the job in 2017. Hard
Yes.
to
Great.
comprehend as we enjoy each other on vacations. And when we return, things go back to horrible. We argue consistently, and it's been a mental battle and very unstable. I decided to move out 4 months ago to decrease the chance of an argument. Where you at, FE? My wife asked me the other day, what is my idea of a woman that would make me comfortable? So I answered the question sincerely, and her response was, I'll never be her. Seemed like a setup question. My question is, should I seek individual counseling to be the best version of me? And that will bring our marriage closer. FE, let me tell you something. I'm talking to you about Last Chance Weekend. And that this
Mhm.
comment is for everybody on this feed, but it's specifically for you. You're
Yes.
talking about vacation, right? And I'm
Mhm.
talking about Valentine's Day and how couples plan Valentine's Day and they have an amazing time, but then they come back and the problems are still there. The vacation is not going to wipe away what's going on. You guys have got to deal with it head on. You have to address it. And it's not easy. It's hard. Let me tell you, Last Chance Weekend is an intensive. It is intense. There are 10 to 14-hour days. We're going in, we're going hard, but we're fighting for you and we're fighting for
Mhm.
your marriage and we're giving you the tools that you need to be able to move forward. And I'm telling you, you see, I'm passionate about this, right?
Yes.
Because I understand when the couples come in, they are feeling defeated. They are feeling like hopeless and like there's no way we're going to get out of this. There's no way we're going to overcome it. And they leave recharged, rejuvenated, refreshed. Couples, last group, there were like 3 or 4 couples that weren't even living together anymore. A week after Last Chance Weekend, they were back in their homes, in their beds with their spouses. So I'm trying to tell you the
Yes.
power of Last Chance Weekend. I wish I knew about Last Chance Weekend 2, 3 years ago. But the
Mhm.
reality is, you have to do the work. There's no magician, there's no magic dust that we're sprinkling on you, there's no magic wand that we're waving. Both parties have to show up willing to do the work, invested, committed, feet planted. I'm not
Yes.
going nowhere until I get my breakthrough.
Mhm.
And you will have a breakthrough and you can be closer because you'll gain understanding. You'll learn things about each other. You'll learn things about your marriage. I always say infidelity doesn't happen overnight. There is a progression, there is a buildup. There were things going on before the infidelity happened. So we tap into those things and help you understand how not to get back there. So please reach out. I hope to
Mhm.
see you in February. But if not, every month we have one. But Hassani has mentioned there are couples who had trips planned for Valentine's Day. They canceled them trips and came to Last Chance Weekend.
All right.
I'm just saying, do what you got to do, handle your business. Your marriage is worth it.
Mhm.
It's worth it. All righty. Do Ray. Walter, will you read this one for me?
Sure. My husband cheated 1 year ago, and we continue to struggle because he fails to see things have changed since the discovery. And he does or I think she means he doesn't understand he has to create boundaries with the opposite sex. It is often a power struggle because he tells me he has changed, but his approach the with the opposite sex has not changed. How can we work on this to recover and rebuild our marriage? My trust is not there.
Mm.
Well,
So we
the
want
trust is
change.
not there because the change hasn't come.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
And the trust won't come until you see a change. He has got to show up differently. You saw us giving a round of applause for, I don't even remember who it was now. I apologize. I don't remember who it was. It's getting late, y'all. It's getting late. But he said he left his job. I mean, you have to do drastic things sometimes to prove
Yes.
to your spouse that you're for real and you're not playing games and you want your marriage and you want to do better, you want to heal and you want to recover. So if you're still seeing the same behavior, that's why the trust isn't there. You need to see a change of behavior. And he may not understand what all he needs to do, but definitely he should understand that if he's been unfaithful and he cheated, there's an issue with boundaries and he needs to do something different. Even if he don't know what it is, he needs to show up differently in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah, I was going to say too, I'm not sure if they are open to or have done couples counseling, but they definitely, I believe, could benefit from couples counseling and having the conversation with an advocate, sharing that again. Yeah, there has to be some boundaries when it comes to the other sex, and for a man, that can be a really hard revelation or reckoning to figure out what that dynamic now looks like. And so I think counseling would really help in that regard, in communicating that message, because again, he's at a crossroads and he doesn't even know it, where he has to make a decision whether you're going to continue to have these type of interactions with the opposite sex that are obviously inappropriate and not conducive for your marriage, or you're going to choose your relationship and redefine exactly how you're engaging with people of the opposite sex.
My question is, how does he know it's inappropriate? Some people really don't understand how other people experience them.
Correct.
I mean,
Yes.
I wish,
That's a good point.
I wish people could have like a body cam, like, you go on a date and I got some body cams on me and so my partner can literally see themselves. So, because some people, I mean, your eyes flirt, your eyes talking to the waitress. Like I think you flirting and you're like, I'm just being nice. And you're like, no, you being a little more than nice, And you're like, well, what did I do? What did I say? Is it words coming out of my mouth? Is it not what I say, but how I say it? Is it my facial expressions, my mannerisms? Is it that I look too long? And so sometimes, our partner, they definitely can be a mirror for us on how they experience us. And we have to, as partners, we have to respect how our partners are experiencing us and their advice and wisdom on how we're engaging with others, to really establish what those boundaries are and to define what appropriate interactions are.
Mm-hmm.
Great point. Guys, our feed is like blowing up. Like, what is hey, I love it. So listen, we want to get to all of your questions. Like, listen, I receive it. It's a blessing. So we definitely want to get to all of you guys' questions. So what we'll do now is we're just going to answer. One of us will answer your question. And so we can try to get to all of them and we won't be here all night because like we got families and babies and all that type stuff. So but we definitely want to honor the fact that you guys are hanging in here with us and asking your questions. So I think Walter will give you this one. My husband does not wear his ring. He says everybody knows. I said no, everyone does not. What can I do?
Well, that's a conversation with him in regards to why, first of all, that the ring is important for you, for him to wear, and why. I think that's important for him to hear that, and for you to communicate to him by him not wearing, that communicates something as well, and being honest and forthright with him about that.
Wow. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Miss Charmaine. So how can I tell my wife when I touch and kiss her, it's not about sex? For me, it's more about playing, teasing, and having fun instead of her just pushing me away.
Okay. I love this question because
I know you do. That's why I gave it to you.
Yes, Glenn. It's my friend. Yes, Glenn. First of all, that is awesome because really what you're communicating is a form of intimacy, right?
Mm-hmm.
And through physical touch. And so I would imagine if that's what you're displaying with your partner, then that's probably one of your most top love languages is physical touch, right? But you like that's a love language. That's the flirting. That's a level of intimacy that, and when it doesn't end in, I just think it's important to let your partner know that, look, this is not about sex for me. I need to play with you. I need to have fun with you. I need to tease you. I need the flirtation. I need the teasing. And that's a priority to me, and to let your partner know that that's a part of your love language, and it doesn't have to end in sex, that you don't have a hidden agenda. This is just about, again, I know Hassani mentions intimacy is like intimacy, right? Intimacy. So this is just about you getting to know me, getting to know who I am in this season, and what fun means for me. And for me, fun is flirting with you, teasing you. And I need that. We all need that in a relationship. So I think just really letting your intentions being known, that look, I really want to get to know you. I need to know what I need to make you laugh. Like, that brings me joy to make you laugh. So just really genuinely letting your partner know, share your heart, and letting them know that, look, I want more of you. And sex, that's great. Though that's a great benefit. That's a bonus, but that's not the intention. It's genuinely to know you at a deeper level and to laugh with you. And that makes you happy, to make your partner laugh.
And one of the things that may help you too, Glenn, I just wanted to chime in, is to recognize her love language as well. So that way, acknowledging hers will hopefully also help her to appreciate and acknowledge yours.
Absolutely. Because we often give people what we want to receive, right? So he's doing what he's doing because probably he wants that back reciprocated from her. So yes, I knew you were going to like that question. I knew it. Hey, Nina said, I love it. I'm going to model for my husband. Look at you, Charmaine. Hey, I don't know your husband, but Mr. Wright is thankful for you tonight, Charmaine. All right. Ariana says, how many times should you forgive someone and still hold hope that they will change? And what if you're not married? At what point do you give up on them changing? Ooh, that's a good question. That is a good question. I have a lot of questions in response to that, because whether you're married or not, if you're in a committed relationship with someone, and they have betrayed you multiple times, I don't know what that betrayal looks like. Are we talking about affairs? Are we talking about, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know what the extent of the damage is in this situation. But Maya Angelou said, when people show you who they are, believe them. So if this person is continuously exhibiting the same behavior, because we all make mistakes, right? We all mess up. None of us are perfect. We're going to continue to mess up. But are we making the same mistakes over and over and over again? That's what you have to look at. So for me, if this person is continuing to betray you in the same way and you're not married, it is easier for you to walk away because you don't have that commitment of that covenant and the marriage bonds and all of that. You're still dating and they're showing you this prior to getting married. I definitely would not enter into marriage with someone who is consistently betraying your trust. And so at what point do you give up on them changing? That's for you to decide. You have an internal thermometer or gauge with what's enough. When you've reached that threshold, only you know that. I can't answer that for you. All right. J Rod. DD occurred 2019. My mother, in-law. My mother-in-law found out, was visiting that weekend. I was told his mother-in-law doesn't believe he didn't do anything wrong. We're working on marriage now. I'm uncomfortable around his family. Any advice? Man, that's tough. That's tough because you're already trying to deal with the infidelity amongst yourselves. And then when you get external family involved, oh my goodness, that adds a completely different layer to it. My advice would be to focus on your marriage because that's who you got to answer to. God, your spouse. And so I would focus there. I would focus on healing that. And then you guys collectively decide how you want to move forward in dealing with the in-laws and external people. But you got to heal what's going on in your household first. That's my take. Do you guys have anything different?
I'll just add that there's a grief process that happens when people disappoint you and when trust is broken down. So I understand that with the in-laws, them not really believing it is because, again, they're they're having to deal with the potential grief of like really having to change their belief about their loved one. Like,
Mm-hmm.
could our loved one have really done this? Like, this doesn't represent their character. But just because you know me in family, don't mean you know how I function in relationships.
Mhm.
Right.
So they're going through
Absolutely.
a sense of denial themselves.
Right.
Yeah, very important to guard your marriage when when in-laws or those outside of the marriage, especially family, because they're close enough. They're close enough to inflict harm, but they should be far enough away too to not really have a voice and say in how the marriage operates. And so it's going to be very important that you silence that chatter, that outside noise, because
Mm.
otherwise it'll really have an impact on your recovery process.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Cindy, I see you came back and said it, and I did see your previous comment. You said that your spouse trickles information, you dig. I never honest, even 15 years after. So we talk about trickle truth all the time. It's not healthy, it's not gonna work, because what happens is when the partner trickles the truth, give you bits and pieces here and there. Every time you learn something new, is D-Day all over again. So it
Right.
resets the clock on your recovery. So you're never healing, and you're in this cycle of rediscovery, trying to establish, trying to get the trust. So it doesn't work that way. You have to rip the band-aid off. That's full disclosure.
Mm-hmm.
That is
Mhm.
meant to be the last and final conversation, but that also means that that person has to be completely honest and tell you everything so that you truly can begin to heal. So you started trying to heal on half truth, on half information, and just because they didn't tell you something, it's a lie by omission. So it's still
Absolutely.
them being dishonest, it's still a betrayal, there's still a secret, and you can't heal and you can't recover from that.
Mm-hmm.
So Mark, I see you say you need help. Reach out to us, Mark. You said you've been a detective for the past numerous years and it's horrible. I completely understand that. You're stuck in this cycle. Because maybe is that you're not getting something that you need. I don't know what, because you're not giving us a lot of information, which is fine. So I don't know the details of it, but because you've been a detective for years, that means that you haven't gotten something that you need. So please reach out to us and we'd be happy to support you and your spouse. Walter, will you take this next one?
Sure. How can a couple trust again when both of them feel like they cannot believe the words that they say to one another? So the focus here has to be looking forward, rather than looking back. Obviously, when you're looking back, you want to be looking back to the foundation of what brought you together in the first place. But because of the trust being broken, now it's relearning and getting to know each other all over again. It's having those conversations, really strengthening the communication process is going to be really important, and taking baby steps in some of those discussions, having conversations not even necessarily about the relationship itself, but just dreams, passions, likes, interests, but really being friends again. One of the things that we shared with our daughter, before she said, when can I start dating? When can and we told her that before you even call yourself dating someone, be friends with them first to see if they're even someone that you would want to date. So you all are back to the place of now you all need to be friends again, where you're getting to know one another and having that conversation so that you can rebuild that trust and knowing exactly who you're dealing with.
Agreed. 100%. Walter, you have gotten an invite to Foundry.
Woohoo!
Love,
You better
love.
go too. You should
I
go.
was
You should go.
listen when y'all was talking about it, I was like, that sounds kind of cool. So Gonzalez, I appreciate that. Please let them add me to it. I'm excited about coming and being a part of that. Sounds good.
Yes, he invited you to come. But Sean said, y'all are preaching to me. That's what we do. We preach. That's what we do. Thank you for that. We receive that. It's all love. Ryan E said, it's been 3 years since my wife cheated on me. How do you regain true faith in the relationship? It's, I think, similar to everything that we've kind of been talking about so far. Ryan. It's really about how she shows up. You know, there's certain things that you're looking for. You're looking for a change. You're looking for remorse. You're looking for a healthy dose of guilt and shame. You're looking for a complete change in behavior. That, I think that's number one, right? Is them showing up differently from how they ever had, them taking accountability and responsibility for what it is that they did, not dismissing your feelings, not discounting, not making excuses, because that's one of the biggest things. That's what'll stick the dagger in and twist it, when they make excuses about why that they did, or they blame you for them cheating and not take full responsibility and accountability for their own actions, and admitting, as Walter said earlier, that it was a choice. I chose to do what I did. So I think there's certain things that you look for. When you see those things, then it just takes time. It's a process. You know, oftentimes we want to skip over the hurt and pain and get to the happy. Don't work like that. It doesn't work like that. You know, you have a wound. I use this analogy all the time. You get cut, you have a serious wound, you have to put medicine, you got to clean it, right? You clean it, you put medication on it, and you cover it. And you don't allow anything else to get in, any irritants, any dirt, anything else to get inside of it, because that can reinfect it, and that starts the healing process all over again. So the lying, the trickle truth, that's like the infection getting inside of that wound and making you have to start that healing process all over again. The cleaning of it, let's say with peroxide, and your kid fell, bumped their knee, you clean it with peroxide. The peroxide is the full disclosure. Right? Because you got to clean it up, right? You got to get it all out. And then once you clean it up, you put the medicine on it. That's the affair proof in your marriage. Then you put the Band-Aid on it and cover it. That's when we come together and we block out all the outside noise that Walter talked about. And I'm doing my individual work. You're doing your individual work. We're looking up. We're trusting God. And then that makes this come together in alignment. And then when you take that Band-Aid off and there's a scab on it, that's to remind you of the work that you did. That's that's your battle scar, right? And then that's the testimony that you take to everybody else who's coming behind you, that's watching you, that's going to go through what you've gone through. So I'm just saying, it can happen. It can happen, and it can work, and you can heal, and you can get past it. Go ahead, Walter.
Yeah, I just want to chime in real quick for Ryan, because he said it's been 3 years. And so what that indicates to me is that there needs to be a releasing of what you thought who you thought your wife was going to be, and what you thought the marriage was going to be, so that you can move on to what it is supposed to be, and what it's going to be. You know, oftentimes, especially like men, especially we hold these pictures of who we think our wife is, and when there's a violation or a deviation from what that picture looks like, now it's totally ruined. Now we just gonna want to throw the picture away, and that's not and that's not, again, a conducive for any relationship. But it's really an opportunity for you to accept her, love her, flaws and all, and then as you all move forward, figure out exactly what does that look like for you all.
Oh, we do it too. Women do it too. We get caught up in the vision and the dream and the fantasy, right? We get caught up too. So, but I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Cindy, come on the Last Chance weekend. I see you. I see you. I see you. Woo, Jen.
I know.
Would you consider strip clubs cheat? Okay, so that.
Wait for this question.
I was just gonna say, Charmaine been waiting for this question.
Ready for
all
this
right,
one.
go ahead, sis. Go ahead. You take it. You take it. You take it.
You got it. I just want to say strip club on live on there. I'm just saying. I just had to. You know, strip club.
Listen,
strip club.
this is my thing. That's an individual thing. That's an individual thing. I know some couples, they go to strip clubs together. Like that's their jam, right? And that's their thing, and that's what they do. So I'm not here to knock that. But I will tell you, as for me in my house,
yes,
you're not going to no strip club.
I am a headliner at the strip club.
No, because one, you're not making it rain on nobody. You're not taking money out the household for you to go get. I understand they got to make a living. I'm not mad at them. Do your thing, but it just can't be from the Hines household. So, but you have to decide what works for you in your relationship. And so, hey, if you like it, I love it. But I firmly believe
Yes.
And I believe that it is the vision of or the thought process of Couples Academy as well, is that that opens the door
Mm-hmm.
potentially for things to go left. It
Right.
opens the door for things to go wrong. And, you know, a lot of times infidelity begins with that second look.
Yes.
Charmaine and I have talked about that many, many times. That second look, you know,
Yeah.
that first look is like, okay, I see you. All
Mhm.
right, okay. But
Mhm.
it's that second look that gets you caught up. So
Yes,
you go to the strip club, be it a male going to watch females or a female going to watch males.
that's right.
There's something there that is pleasing to your eyes, and you
Mhm.
doing more than a second look.
Hmm.
Okay, so that opens the door for fantasizing. We have had to work with couples who have had infidelity that started from fantasizing.
Mhm.
So
Right.
it's something that can open the door to put send your marriage in a direction that you don't want it to go down. So
Mhm.
I vote no, but again, you do what you do in your house, what works for you and your man.
Hmm.
All right, cheer up. Really difficult time right now. What do you do when your spouse seems um disrespectful to you as you are trying to reconcile?
Mm.
Where we at in the recovery, Cherub? How long has
Yeah.
it been?
Mhm.
And what all took place? Was it infidelity? Um, you know, what all happened? And then how are you showing up? Are you giving them what they need? Have they told you what they need? What conversations have you had? Have you guys been in counseling? But I would say if you are adamant about trying to save the relationship, don't give up. Keep fighting for your relationship.
Yes.
And they just may need a little bit more time. Again, I don't know how long it's been, but
Mhm.
they just may not be ready to receive right now. So I would say, you know, keep fighting, keep trying. um
And that's what
I'm
Couples Academy is here for, to support
Exactly.
you
That's
all in the
right.
process. These conversations and interactions can be difficult. And
Mhm.
so, you know, your success is strongly dependent upon getting the support that you need. So
Absolutely.
strongly consider
Absolutely.
Couples Academy.
Absolutely. 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 Let's see. Natural Beauty said, should I just leave and get space? It's so hard to heal and deal with the person that hurt you at the same time. Facts.
Mm.
Especially when pictures of affair were posted online.
Mm.
Mm.
That is tough. We do help couples with something called controlled separation. I don't know if that's something that is appropriate for you and your partner, but definitely you can reach out to us and we can help kind of walk you guys through that and what that looks like, because sometimes you do need space. You know, we do encourage couples
Mhm.
to stay together and try to heal under the same roof because we know it can happen.
Mhm.
But there are some couples that, you know, depending on the depth again of the pain that's there, they may need to separate. We've had couples where it's become volatile and it's become
Mhm.
physically violent. So that is, if that is the case, there's someone in that relationship that cannot physically control themselves and it's getting physical. You may need to do a controlled separation. So again, without knowing the details of it, I can't say that you should or should not. You have to do what you feel is best for you. But I
Mhm.
do fully understand and I co-sign with you that yes, it is hard to heal and deal with the person that hurt you. You seeing them every day. And the part that makes you feel crazy is like you need comfort from the person who hurt you,
Mhm.
Hmm.
right? Because they did it. So it's like you understand what you did because you did it.
Hmm.
Mhm.
And so, you know, you do have those moments of you want to be held and comforted, and other days, like I want to scratch your eyes out. So that's
Mhm.
part of the healing process.
Daily process.
And then when things are posted online, it's just like celebrities, right? When they find out that their significant other cheated on them, the whole world is there to see it. And
Yes.
so that's kind of what happened to you with it being posted online. Like now, that embarrassment is one of the things that will make you make decisions that you don't necessarily want to make because you're
Absolutely.
embarrassed and you
Mhm.
don't want to look a certain way in front of other people. But if this is your husband that we're talking about, remember, it's not about anybody else. It's about the covenant that you made with your spouse.
Mhm.
And so, you know, you got to rise above what everybody else is going on, because at the end of the day, you are the one that has to live with the choices and the decisions that you make.
Mhm.
Hmm.
So I think we got all of our questions answered tonight.
Me
I want to
too.
say thank you, thank you, thank you so much, you all, for hanging in. And we hung in here late with y'all
We
tonight.
did. We did.
So I want to say thank you for hanging in here with us. Thank you, Walter and Charmaine, for
Thank
Appreciate
you.
y'all.
joining. For joining. Did you guys have any last minute words or anything for the people before we sign off?
No, I just wanted to say thank you all so much for having us. Please be sure to check out Couples Academy. We are
Yes.
here to partner with you in your not only recovery, but in your relationship and marriage journey. We are all here, are passionate about couples walking in wholeness and being healthy,
Yes.
and making sure that you have your healing, because that's what we need as a community and as a nation and as a world. So that's what we're all about.
That's right. Hey, microphone drop.
Yes.
All right. We love
And there
y'all.
was
We'll
one
see you.
more. There was one more about Last Chance Weekend in May. So, just got
Oh,
to make sure we get these dates out.
yes, yes, yes.
Yeah.
So it is always Last Chance Weekend is always going to be the second weekend of
The month.
Mm-hmm.